BÁTORIČKA, the bloodlusts of ERZSÉBET Báthory. Margaret and Ambrose Szabo, agricultural peasants from Sommiaux. Ambrose. After the market, one weekend in June, ahead was their target, a damsel in bloom. A maiden in bloom, as in ready for marriage, which proved be her doom, whence appeared that black carriage. That cart with a Bathory green dragon crest, whose passengers captured her in an asp's nest. A coachload of vipers like vampire bats, quenching desires of sick aristocrats. Those shrieks and the shakes like the cab would explode, then the freeing of brakes for the hack hit the road. A white wedding dress the murdered denied, and we shudder to guess of the horror inside. Margaret. A mile up the path, with the sky turning black and the carriage in park, we saw them attack. There, ERZSÉBET, Benitsky, bald Helena Joe, fat Dorco, factotum, and each deigned a blow. Each battled to box the blooded blonde head. Joe hit her with rocks till Jana was dead. They stomped on each digit and smashed her face mush. Then Fisco the midget waved us warning to hush. He cautioned us quiet, scraping a trench. Then Dorco the giant kicked in the dead wench. As ERZSÉBET smiled, dribbling sputum, wet dirt was unpiled by Janos factotum. Friar Vargo, an Augustinian monk from the monastery situated next to ERZSÉBET Bathory's Viennese townhouse. Our walls built of stone might as well be of paper, with ERZSÉBET home, with old Nick as a neighbour. And it seemed most occurred, the severest of violence, when no monk said a word, as in our hours of silence. We're told it is only God we should fear, but we feared that unholy 3 times of each year. As each time we'd all think, it's the Ottoman Turk, then a sulphuric stink whereth evil did lurk. None mentioned the missing maids of the town, with the council dismissing them drunkenly drown. Mayhap they've absconded, they said to their shame, in case they offended the Bathory name. For each heard the rumours, the cowardly guild, girls grabbed by her groomers and tortured and killed. They must have caught stories of damsels displaced, as we hark the goriest cries of the erased. Such harrowing squalls when we tried to pray, that we flung at our walls our pots made of clay. The sound of the smashing, a second's recess, to stifle the slashings and screams of distress. To get our house shardless for days we'd to sweep, she went on regardless for up to a week. Tradesmen's lost daughters and knew who to blame, till only the potter rejoiced when she came. Pastor Johannes Panikinus, Lutheran vicar of Castise. The flock hide their children from that aberration. Daughters are hidden by my scared congregation. They toil at their tasks and a life often lean, wondering whether a snatch squad has been. When one is found missing, with ma and pa's nervous, the dominion's dismissive, she signed for her service. Where are all her workers, as none ne'er go home? 'Tis township's tear-jerkers when dogs dig up bones. They ken it's not recent, their well-founded fears. Her demonic descent spans 24 years. At last, for 10 years, subjects sign some petitions, try oiling stiff gears of official positions. 10 years of inaction, where folks are off fobbed to say to her satisfaction, their kids are still robbed. And Istvan Magyari, Savar's plucky ex-priest, before necromancy veered him opposite east, addressed he thee twice, Thurzo, about Bathory's beast. But his fearless appealing fell on heedless ears, and now we are dealing with more deaths with more years. Darvulia cast her black magic art to stop that poor pastor's ethical heart. The witch was successful in Istvan's demise. For defrayment the devil took the old witch's eyes. Though now she is blind, the nightmare gets worse, and we're held in a bind of a sorceress curse. And I have been threatened inside my own church, warned of arrest and to cease my research. Factotum, the feral thug, leaned on my lectern and promised my peril if her credit's in question. Factotum can't fright 'em, we're strong when we're pious, but next I will write on beseeching Matthias. Count George Thurzo. I envisage the monarch and his face as he winces, with thoughts of a war with the province's princes. with the threat of a war in Carpathes mountains if I'd enforce the law on their cousin the countess. I picture his cringes regarding a battle, as it seems the case hinges on peasantry prattle. With his lamb on his back, he's enough on his hands, without an attack from the Bathory clans. Then there's the Nadastes to make him more sweat, not forgetting that Ferenc, whom we all owe a debt. To Ferenc, my friend, Magyar owes her life, and since his life's end we honour his wife. For without that count, who had to be cruel, would be living, no doubt, under Islamic rule. In need of that noble, under Turk yoke, to Constantinople they'd force our female folk. A few dozen deductions the denizens bawl, yet care of the Muslims it would be us all. Our towns would be barren, our girls are sex slaves, if not that black baron stopped Ottoman waves. If not stem the flow of Mohammed's flood, we would be awash in Hungarian blood. Slaughtered or captured, taxed and entolled, mauled and then mastered, most likely cornholed. Butchered like bullocks, our children they'd slay, if Count Iron Bollocks had not blocked their way. So I see the king and his face turning pallor, ordering her swing after Nasdasdi's valour. And what of the Habsburgs, allied and won't switch? And what of the blackbirds that spy for her witch? Like a cloud of shadows that prefix a murder, the Vulia's crows who return when they've heard her. Those ravens she's trained that sat on my sill when Istvan complained, and then he got ill. And with Frank at the front, his fate I foresaw. With my friend's dying grunt, I heard the flock caw. And it's more than just sorcery, or who ERZSÉBET knows. Much more of an adversary, our demonic foes. For alongside Effendi, a fiendish thug came, that gripped with a frenzy the Bathory name. 'Tis not solely ERZSÉBET cursed by the Jinn, though she's cursed the worst yet, it's bewitched her kin. It used Gabar, Sigismund, her uncles as hosts, so that one ate his own flesh and two fenced with ghosts. It killed one of her brothers, another sent manic, her cousins and others metamorphosized satanic. It took two sons as toddlers whilst off she was flaunting, who'd begged a bit tender and so mauled by the haunting. It possessed her Aunt Clara, perverting her soul into wild nymphomania by sexual control. It possessed her Aunt Clara till she killed when she caught and raped by a pasha, then by his cohort. Even her birth was marked by crop blight, with a pestilent earth after fork lightning strike. Ah, yes, I have known her quite a bit, and I've seen it control her, that fiend from the pit. Forgetting her witches, the devil, Bathory's far-reaching claw, I'd die as a debtor if I'd break the law. For 'tis not illegal for regals kill poor, plus eyes-kin to eagles suggest just voyeur. It spells that surround her bear burdens of guilt, which no doubt she'll counter, that they've the blood spilt. So though the tale's squalid and drips with distress, the case must be solid if I'm on to press. If I'm to proceed as in making it mobile, I'll need a still lead, a statement of a noble. Someone with some style, like the word of a lord, for she wins her trial, I'll be put to the sword. The least I'd be bankrupt if could cut a deal, whilst she would banquet in bitter each meal.